BC News.
From WXII 12 News, this is breaking news.
And breaking overnight, investigators are trying to figure out how a car ended up inside Salem Creek.
Yeah, the driver in that single car crash has serious injuries and is at Wake Forest Baptist Medical Center this morning. Now, this is new video of crews trying to pull that car out from under the Salem Creek Bridge. Police say the driver ran off of Martin Luther King Jr. Drive near Reynolds Park Road just before 11:30 last night. That car flipped several times before coming to a stop.
And we're also following breaking news this morning out of the Czech Republic, where officials say 6 people are dead. This is the man we'll show you in just a minute authorities are looking for. He's accused of walking into a university hospital waiting room and opening fire. It happened around 1:15 this morning, our time, 6 a.m. there. That hospital remains on lockdown right now. We'll of course bring you that picture of that suspect. There he is wearing that red jacket, and we'll have more on this coming up on WXI12news.com.
All right, and then we want to get a check on the forecast with Brian because we have a lot going on in the weeks, in the days ahead.
We do. Forecast is changing quite a bit too. It was soggy yesterday at times. It was really more damp, so we had some light rain and drizzle, some showery weather coming in. Steadier rain is moving in as a cold front approaches. It's already bringing in a good dose of wet weather into western Wilkes County into the mountains. Temperatures though are very mild in those areas, 40s and 50s, at least mild for early to mid-December. It's the 10th already. A good chance for wet weather kind of overspreading parts of Tennessee. That will gradually work its way in. Pretty foggy go of it in spots early morning. The fog has gotten fairly dense in some triad locations this morning, so give yourself a few extra minutes. Temperatures though mid-50s, warmer than our normal high temperature for today's date. We should max out in the lower 60s this afternoon, right around lunchtime before those temperatures begin to ease back. Better rain chances lunchtime onward. Tonight we'll see a bit of a cool down, mid-30s for the Triad and foothills, enough to maybe bring in a brief period of wintry mix. I think the only area that will likely see school delays tomorrow, if we have them, will be our mountain counties, though. That could be different for Friday. More on that coming up.
Brian, thank you. 6:02 this morning, we are expecting a major step in the impeachment process after weeks of testimony.
Jared Hill is live in our Hearst, Washington bureau with the latest. And Jared, what's going on today?
So, Kim and Devontae, actually, last night you had Democratic leadership meeting about this one, and this morning we're expecting them to publicly now announce 2 articles of impeachment against President Trump. According to sources here, these would be abuse of power as well as obstruction of Congress. This is coming after yesterday's often fiery and likely final public House hearing on impeachment. Counsel for both Democrats and Republicans on the House Intelligence Committee went before the House Judiciary Committee, front and center, outlining the arguments both for and against impeaching President Trump.
The inquiry has returned no direct evidence that President Trump withheld a meeting or security assistance in order to pressure President Zelensky to investigate former VP Biden.
President Trump's persistent and continuing effort to coerce a foreign country to help him cheat to win an election is a clear and present danger to our free and fair elections.
Now, a full House vote, if that actually ends up happening, would only be the 3rd of its kind in U.S. history. Guys, back to you.
And Jared, as we get closer to a likely vote on articles of impeachment, any word on how the House might vote?
Well, I mean, you know, Kim, this has been pretty partisan since the beginning, so likely we would see the Democrats voting in favor of impeachment. The question of how many exactly that would be, we'll have to wait and see with that one. But House Speaker Nancy Pelosi yesterday was kind of coy when she was speaking about this at a different event last night, and she said that she's not counting the votes, and so she doesn't know, at least she says, how many votes would be in favor of or against impeachment, but she's asking for her members to vote their conscience. We'll have to see where that leads them. Back to you.
All right. Thank you, Jared Hill in Washington.
At 6:04, a Triad home goes up in flames, and this morning firefighters are trying to figure out what caused it. Winston-Salem firefighters arrived to this home on Tech Avenue last night to find smoke and flames shooting from the windows and the rooms there. About a dozen firefighters worked to put the fire out. Officials tell us the home was in fact vacant. A fire forces 8 people out of their homes. This also taking place in Winston-Salem. The Red Cross is helping them with living arrangements this morning after smoke and flames damaged 2 units at the apartment complex on Grove Avenue. 4 people lived inside each unit and no one was hurt.
In Commitment 2020, the man who served as Guilford County Sheriff for more than 2 decades will be sworn in as the new mayor of Summerfield today. B.J. Barnes defeated incumbent Mayor Danny Nelson last month after losing the sheriff's race last year to Danny Rogers. Barnes told us that he wants to make a difference as mayor in a town that he's lived in for the last 30 years. Well, Democratic Representative Derwin Montgomery is running for the state's newly drawn 6th congressional district. He is currently serving his first term in House District 72. Once he files, he'll join Bruce Davis and Kathy Manning for the Democratic nomination.
Senator Thom Tillis says he is very confident that he will win any Republican primary. He officially filed for re-election yesterday. Senator Tillis says he needs 6 more years in the U.S. Senate to complete work that he started in the NC legislature. He says the same issues he championed while Speaker of the NC legislature, namely tax cuts and regulatory reform, are the same ones he's worked on in the U.S. Senate. 5 Democrats are competing for Senator Tillis' seat, including Trevor Fuller, Cal Cunningham, and Erica Smith. And here are a few dates that you want to keep in mind. The primary elections in North Carolina will be held March 3rd. The Democratic National Convention is set for July 13th to the 16th in Milwaukee, followed by the RNC, the Republican National Convention in Charlotte, August 24th to the 27th. Of course, Election Day, November 3rd.
Well, happening now, police say this man is armed and dangerous. His name is Marvin Bostic, and he is wanted by High Point Police. Investigators say that he shot a man during a drug deal. Bostic faces robbery and assault charges. If you know where he is or you see him, you're asked to call police. And the man accused of stealing an ambulance in Greensboro could face additional charges. Investigators say that a Greensboro police officer was hurt while chasing down Daniel Williams Jr. over the weekend. Williams is in jail this morning under a $1 million bond. Troopers arrested him on Saturday. They say he stole the ambulance from Cone Health Wesley Long Hospital and then got into a chase on I-85 near Holden Road. Investigators say Williams hit the side of a Greensboro police car, injuring that officer inside. Now, the officer is expected to be okay, but Williams is expected in court again next month.
At 6:06 this morning, Save Addiction. The number of opioid overdose cases at local hospitals is decreasing statewide, but one Piedmont community is actually seeing a rise. That's according to a new report this morning from the Lexington Dispatch. Their findings show that the number of opioid overdoses reported to ERs statewide has decreased from 5,800 to 5,500 between January and October. Emergency room visits for opioid overdoses in Davidson County from January to October has risen to 146 compared to 128 in the same time period in 2018. This is an increase of 14%. County officials told the Dispatch that they are working to address the issue with the help from local law enforcement.
State funds totaling $3 billion will go to Surry County to help with storm damage from last year. Our media partners at the Mount Airy News report that the county has been working on securing that money since Hurricane Michael hit late October. The Category 1 storm dropped upwards of 13 inches of rain and caused significant damage across parts of the county.
Greensboro Bojangles damaged when a ceiling collapse hopes to be fully operational once again tomorrow. Officials are still working to figure out what caused this. At the restaurant on Hickory Ridge Drive, the ceiling gave way over the weekend, and this is video of that aftermath. The company says no one was hurt, and Bojangles is still serving their customers in that drive-thru.
Well, tomorrow you can help our neighbors in need with our annual holiday food drive. I'm going to be out at Davie Medical Center in Bermuda Run accepting non-perishable food and monetary donations. Starting at 5 tomorrow morning, then Kenny Beck will take over in the afternoon. Our final food drive of the season is next Wednesday, December 18th, and Bria Love will be at the Chick-fil-A in Mount Airy. Plus, we're going to have a phone bank all day, so you can call in and make a donation too. Sounds like the weather for tomorrow is a little iffy.
Yeah, it'd be better if it was today. It's about 20 degrees colder. It may still be raining, and we may end as a little bit of a burst of kind of a rainy mix at the end of it tomorrow.
Oh,
I don't think it's going to be terribly impactful. Dress warm. Dress warm.
Oh,
yeah, it's going to be a pretty chilly finish to the week as things are unfolding. And you know, we get to this time of year, temperatures begin to fall. fall, you bring these storms in, and sometimes part of them, the start of the finish, could indicate that we could have a little bit of wintry mix coming in. But I don't think anything overly impactful. East of the mountains is coming in for early tomorrow morning. Friday we'll have to see. Timing is going to be the biggest issue with when this wet weather begins. Any later arrival, I think temperatures will have a chance to warm before we bring the threat of some wintry in. So we've got some days and some time left to kind of work that out. In the meantime, we have some rain coming in. Chances for wet weather are rapidly increasing across really the western half of our area. Mountains and foothills will catch the bulk of this morning. You can see as this front eases in, it's going to kind of guide more of these showers in. It extends the entire length of this front to Texas and even into Mexico. And there's that little bit of a wintry transition at the end. That would be what would be pivoting through tomorrow around this time. Mostly for the mountains, where we could see snow showers for a more prolonged period of time, even beginning as early as this evening, as our temperatures are expected to cool quite rapidly as this front comes in. I mean, look how much colder it is. Fargo is 7 degrees below zero. Now 19 in Chicago. That's colder than Denver. Even places like Dallas and Memphis are in the mid to upper 30s, and that's more than likely where our temperatures will be this time tomorrow. That's in sharp contrast to where they are now. It's pushing 70 in Wilmington with that warm southwest wind over the area. Cooler temperatures in the 40s and 50s over our area this morning. Even Burlington at 60, warmer than our normal high for this time of day, or this time of year, really. I think our high will be close to 60, and I think it'll be early in the afternoon as opposed to late afternoon. Rain chances increase, wind directions change, become more northerly tonight, and that will drop us back in the mid-30s for early tomorrow. I think highs will be somewhere in the low, possibly mid-50s, but more than likely lower 50s for the foothills today. Temperatures in the mountains will hold steady for now and then start to drop later on. It'll be in the 30s by 9, and I think that's around the time we'll start to see maybe that wintry changeover. But some chances for wet weather through this afternoon, through tonight, and again, as we start to see an increase of rain from a disturbance coming through, we could see a little bit of a strip of a wintry mix as the moisture is pulling away. That's not the type of thing that brings us anything significant coming in. It will get colder too. Temperatures by Thursday afternoon will struggle to get to 40, so it is cold this time around. For our next round of moisture moves in, it's just out of the range of our kind of medium range models. We'll have a better look at that tomorrow, but there's a chance we could start with some freezing rain Friday morning before we warm to rain, and it could affect us for a few hours in the morning commute. Even the Triad could see that, so folks who have kids going to school Friday morning, just understand that we may have some delays, so keep that in mind.
And Brian, no delays this morning at 612 on the roads. This is I-40 Harper Road there in Clemens. We just checked the map. Everything is in the green. One problem on I-77 northbound heading into Yadkin County, but that shouldn't cause any delays for the Piedmont Triad. If we do see anything that would cause a delay, we'll of course keep you updated. Coming up next, no signs of life. Americans feared among the missing just hours after volcano erupts in New Zealand. Why experts say the threat is far from over.
And it's been 5 years since the Ice Bucket Challenge swept the internet, raising money for ALS research. I was doing it right there. Up next, we're going to take a look back at the life of the man who started this challenge.